Welcome back to Ferris Sports Update. Time now to talk Bulldog soccer, and joining us on the show is Sandy Gholston. Sandy, thanks for being here.
Glad to be back here and looking forward to talking about some Bulldog soccer.
Yeah, so the Bulldogs, in the heart of their conference schedule, they're playing pretty good soccer, but still a lot of games to go and a very competitive GLIAC.
Well, yeah, I mean, they are playing some really good soccer, and we've seen it particularly defensively. We've been really, really good this year. We've had, tremendous goalkeeping, and the defense in front is probably, arguably, the leadership of the team in some ways, and certainly a solidifying force back there, making it really tough for even some of the great teams that we've played this year to be able to get goals.
Yeah, one of those great teams, Grand Valley, was here in Big Rapids last Friday, and Bulldogs do suffer a defeat, but again, that's one of the best teams in all of college soccer, and Ferris State really hung in there.
Yeah, I think when you look at Grand Valley, and obviously you were there and I was there, Grand Valley, they're big, they're fast, they're very talented, and I believe they were fourth in the nation at the time we played them, and certainly when you look at their history, they're going to be a national championship contender, and yet we went toe-to-toe with them. I mean, we played them probably as tough as anybody has played. They only had one loss coming into that game. They were undefeated in the GLIAC, and the Bulldogs really played them tough.
We'll take a look at some of the highlights from that game. And, you mentioned it, Sandy, the Lakers have high hopes this season, not only in the GLIAC, but also in the national picture. And Ferris State did a lot of work battling the Lakers, specifically early on. Yeah,
you could see some really tough play in goal right there from the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And they really were up to the physical challenge, and I think that's something that I'm sure Coach Henson and his staff were really happy about there, as you see the Bulldogs come up and be aggressive. And sometimes when you're playing against a team that's that explosive as Grand Valley, it's tough on a keeper. You got to come up and sometimes be a little bit more aggressive than you're comfortable being.
And speaking of keeper, how about Corinne Urke?
Yes.
Her first season as a starter for this team, and she has been up to the challenge for the most part this year.
She's gone the distance, so
yeah.
That shows you in her first season playing college soccer, she's earned the trust of the coaching staff. And so, Coach Peacock, who works a lot with the keepers, and of course Coach Henson as the head coach, she's been able to earn their trust and their respect, and she has gone the distance in goal there. You can see really tough goal right there. Corinne maybe screened off just a little bit there, and then just a great shot there just on the just inside the post. Yeah,
a lot of traffic in the box, not a whole lot that Urke probably could have done there, but this is going to happen when you play Grand Valley. A team as good as Grand Valley, they're going to put pressure on you and keep firing shots, get good chances in the box as well.
That's what they do, and the one thing we like, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, is that the Bulldogs were up to that challenge physically. They competed and competed and competed, and there you see another great goal. They hit right off the bottom of the crossbar, almost an impossible shot unless you got probably a 6'5" keeper. It's going to be a really tough shot to handle.
Yeah, and then after Grand Valley scores twice, the Bulldogs press up the aggression. They start firing some shots and hang in there until Haley Buckman's able to put him on the board late, and that really gave Ferris State a chance.
Yeah, fantastic goal right there off the free kick there, and just put it in almost a perfect spot right there in that upper right corner. They had the block on right there, but the Bulldogs just did a great job there. And just a tremendous goal, and obviously it's disappointing, and you don't like to think about moral victories, but when you take the number 4 team in the nation right to the wire and you had a chance to win, that's something that certainly there's some positives there.
Coach Henson was certainly proud of his team's effort after the game, and the unfortunate part about, maybe the fortunate part, depending on how you look at it in college soccer, is you got to turn around and do it again in the same weekend. And the Bulldogs were at home Friday, but then on the road Sunday to take on Davenport.
Well, and it's tough because then you're coming back and you're playing another kind of rivalry team, and so you're coming back and you're driving down to Caledonia to face a Davenport team it's a scrappy team, and I think the Bulldogs. I don't know if there was a letdown, but if there was, I think some people might find that understandable. But again, the Bulldogs are really, really sound defensively there, and you could just see a lot of pressure that Davenport was able to get at times. But the Bulldogs, more often than not, they were up to the challenge.
Yeah, this is a Davenport team that's played Ferris State very close, not just this season, but in the past couple of years now. The Bulldogs were able to close out a win at home against Davenport early in the year, but then a tie on Sunday, and a late goal from Valoni really led the way.
Well, clearly they were very motivated here, and I think the goal is coming up right there. So you could see, I think it was a free kick, almost midfield, goes up there, just a little touch, and able to get it past Corinne. So just a great chain of events. Unfortunately for Davenport, or fortunately for Davenport, and unfortunately for Ferris, it was. But I think the Bulldogs kept fighting and scrapping, and their efforts paid off.
Yeah, obviously at halftime the Bulldogs are going to go in down a goal, but I'm sure Coach Henson, Coach Peacock, his staff was pretty pleased with their team through the first half, just reinforcing that message of staying with it and keep fighting in the second.
Well, one of the things you got to do when you're struggling to get goals, you got to try to find a way to keep pressure on, and I think that's what the Bulldogs did. And you just have to keep pressure on, keep taking shots, and Sometimes you can get a little pass happy, but there's sometimes you just got to let it fly. And I think the Bulldogs did a little better job of that in the second half, and it took a while, but ultimately it paid off.
They got a couple players that are certainly not afraid to let it fly, and rightfully so. Extremely talented players like Catherine Welch, Isabella Barron, and others. Some young players up front that have made big strides for the Bulldogs this year.
Well, there's no question the Bulldogs want to, they want to get the ball to Cat Welch. They want to give her an opportunity to make plays. There you see great header off of a corner kick, and Bella Baloney just right there. I mean, just a terrific goal, really pretty goal, and ends in a 1-1 tie, but great effort by the Bulldogs to rally to salvage that tie.
Yeah, they gave themselves a chance down late, not only with the goal that tied the game, but also a chance to 7 minutes left to go potentially pull out a victory.
Exactly, and once you get that game-tying goal, then it's anybody's game again, and so if you're Davenport, you're playing pretty comfortably. It's getting late in the game, but then the Bulldogs get a great goal off the corner kick, and then all of a sudden you're back in, and you're just trying to find a way to keep pressure, and hopefully you can get some more high-grade shots on goal, and that's what you hope for, and you hope eventually you can drive one past.
Bulldogs are on the road this weekend for 2 more contests. They got Purdue Northwest and Wisconsin Parkside, and a team in Purdue Northwest that they beat earlier this season on Senior Day, but the Rangers Parkside, they're number 2 in the GLIAC right now, playing unbelievable soccer.
Yeah, I think you're looking at that, and certainly you feel good about your chances. Obviously, Parkside is a really good team. I think the Bulldogs, are going with a lot of confidence, certainly to Purdue Northwest, and hopefully they can get that one. And I think it's going to be a great one. I think both games are really going to be good. And this is just the nature of the GLIAC. Obviously, Grand Valley's kind of separated itself from the pack a little bit, but I think the Bulldogs feel like if they put it together, they can have a big weekend.
It's hard to believe, but we're only a month away really from the end of the regular season. But a lot of these teams are really finding out what they're made of as we push down the stretch. And again, the GLIAC's so competitive, so tough.
Exactly. We had Senior Day like so far, so early in the season it feels like, and here we are coming down the stretch. And it's exciting when you start to come down the stretch, and it's getting to be championship time, and that's where you hope that your team, as coaches and as players, you hope that you're peaking at the right time of the year. And I don't think there's any better time to start peaking than right now. The Bulldogs, again, continue to play good defense. They continue to get good goalkeeping, and they just got to find ways to be opportunistic and maybe get a little bit of good fortune offensively. Well,
Sandy, thanks so much for the time, and I know we've enjoyed watching some Bulldog soccer. We're going to keep watching and enjoying as the Bulldogs push through their season. Definitely eyes on the GLIAC tournament, of course, and then hopefully the NCAA tournament as well.
Absolutely. Been a lot of fun, but we're not done yet.
That'll do it for this week's episode of Ferris Sports Update. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. It's a busy one in Bulldog Athletics. As a reminder, you can follow all the action online, ferrisstatebulldogs.com.